Make sure it's out of gear. Don't really want to kill anyone today. I know it looks pretty awful. I've never had a van before where I could actually stand up inside the cab. There's not a lot of room to work on this. Definitely looks a lot better now. And I've got a funny feeling it's coming from the vents up here. I've got a bit of a gammy hand, it's not easy. Now that is what you call upcycling. Purely if you're viewing pleasure. Well, it's another wonderful day here at the barn, although it is slightly colder than I expected today. Just turn some lights on so we can see what we're doing. It is absolutely freezing in here. I need to move the Vario back a little bit because it's so big. Doesn't leave me a lot of room at the front there. There's not a lot of room in here. It's a bit crowded at the barn at the moment. Make sure it's out of gear. Don't really want to kill anyone today. On the button. Right, so the first thing I need to do now is just to make sure that I can actually open the back door, see if I've got this right. It's a bit tight in here, as well as being bleeding cold as well. Yeah, plenty of room now. So I set myself a task today, and that was to take the passenger seat out of the Vario so that I could have a look underneath the carpet. Because I did notice there was a little bit of rust. Surprise, surprise, it's a Vario after all. All I could do was lift this piece of the carpet up, and all I could see was this little bit of rust here. That's all I could see, but now I've taken the whole seat out. Have a go at that. Not as bad as I thought it would be. I was expecting to see a great big hole. I'm hoping this is just surface rust. And what's caused this is this foam backing on this rubber mat. You can see it's soaked up the water, and it's held the water there for God knows how many years. So let's get the rest of this carpet out, get the angle grinder on this and see how bad it is. I know it looks pretty awful, but I've seen worse after all. I used to work on old Volkswagens, and I've lifted carpets up in them and been able to see the road underneath had been that bad. So this doesn't faze me that much. It's just I want to know what I'm dealing with before I spend lots of money on this van converting it into a camper. It absolutely amazes me the size of these things, the sheer scale of them. Let me demonstrate this. I can actually stand up inside the cab. It's incredible. I've never had a van before where I could actually stand up inside the cab. Right. Let's see if I can get this carpet out. Again, it does look just like surface rust. Doesn't look too bad. So I think a bit of a wire brush or a zip wheel on there will clean all this up. We'll be alright, I think. It's really not that bad. So all I'm doing now is painting over the rust with Cure Rust. Literally it's just surface rust, so I'm really not bothered about it. I'm going to put plenty of this around here, all along there. You can see it turning blue already. Brilliant. Don't have to be too precious with it, just daub it everywhere. Just a bit of rust there, look. Missed that bit. There you go, look at that, slap it all on. There as well. Right, I'm going to let this dry and then I'll come back tomorrow. Well, it is now the very next day, and I'm pleased to say the cure rust that I put on yesterday, and I do recommend this stuff. I highly recommend it actually, because it really does work. Take a look at this. So it's all turned the rust all black now. You can see it's just gone this really nasty black, and I know it looks really messy, but I'm going to be painting over the top of this with chassis black paint, which has also got a rust inhibitor built into it, for want of better words. I'm pretty confident that this rust won't come back, not for a good couple of years anyway. Can't guarantee it won't come back in 5 years, but it's definitely going to be good for at least a couple of years. And at the end of the day, all I've got to do is lift this carpet up periodically, and I can keep an eye on it to make sure that rust is staying at bay. After all, this carpet I can lift, whereas in the back that's a different matter altogether. Once that floor's down, it's down for good. So that's why I'm not really that fussy about inside the cab. Now you'll also notice I've got the engine doghouse off, so you can see the legendary 1 million mile engine. And this engine's only done 36,000 miles, so it's got plenty of life left in it. Excellent. And I do believe the reason it lasts for 1 million miles is because it redlines at 2,500 RPM. So it pretty much stays on just over tick over all of its life. But then it is a 4.2 litre turbo diesel engine with 148 brake horsepower. But look how much room it takes up. Considering the size of the van, there's not a lot of room to work on this. I do hope that's something I'll never have to do, is do any work on this engine other than its regular servicing. And I will be giving this engine a full service, a thorough inspection before I do take Dragonfly out on the road. I shall of course change the engine oil, I'll change the coolant, I'll even be changing the gearbox fluid, the differential fluid. Everything's going to get changed on this van before I even think about driving it out and taking it out on a little tour. Right, so let's get my paintbrush out, get some paint over this and make it look a lot prettier than what it is right now. Now before I do put any paint on this, I'm going to give it a thorough degreasing. I'm going to use some panel wipe to get any of this off. It's got some weird residue on there. Or was it just dirt? I think it's just dirt. I'm going to wipe it over with panel wipe. Rough up this shiny surface as well with a bit of Scotch pad so that the new paint does actually stick to it and it doesn't peel off over time. Okay, let's do this. Well, there you go. Doesn't that look a lot better? Believe it or not, it's actually taken me most of the day to do this, but well worth the effort. It definitely looks a lot better now. Well, I've had an incredibly busy couple of last days, which has given the floor plenty of time to dry out, so the paint is rock hard now. Also, the diesel heater has been working flawlessly, drying out the rubber mat. This rubber mat has got like a foam backing on it, and that's what caused the problem. All that moisture soaked into there, and yeah, basically I've had next to the diesel heater, it's dried out nice. So now all I need to do is actually address the holes where the bolts go through the floor. As you can see, I actually put the bolts back in before painting the floor. This is to stop the paint going down inside. Now these are 8mm bolts, and you can see the thread isn't in particularly good condition. I'm a bit worried about the little bolt holes as well. So before I put the carpet down and put the seats back in place, I'm going to quickly re-tap these threads just to clean them all out and make sure they're all nice. Now I've also fitted another diesel heater. I've got another one down here. I've fitted this one and I've put a nice long pipe on it, so when I'm working on the van underneath, I can direct that pipe underneath the van to keep me warm. So I've now got 2 diesel heaters heating up my work area. And today's the first day I've actually used this diesel heater, so hopefully it will keep me nice and warm, because it is literally freezing outside at the moment. Right, so let's find a tap and tap those holes out. So all I'm going to do is simply use this 8mm tap, put it into the hole, and very carefully remove all the rust from this hole by just simply screwing it down like this. Actually, it's going really well. I can feel a little bit of binding. Oh yeah, it's got tight there. It looks nice and clean. Just going to get a little bit of grease on this little braggle thing. Just put it in there like that. And that's it. Hopefully that will stop it going rusty again and last for years to come. Right, so all I've got to do now is the other half a dozen or so. That's it, that's the last one of them done, that's all done now. I'm all greased up, but I'll tell you what, my back is freezing after bending over there. There's a right draft coming through, and I've got a funny feeling it's coming from the vents up here. Because after all, this used to be a chicken shed. So when it was a chicken shed, they would ventilate the whole building by opening these flaps. And I've got these flaps open, and I'm using the shelves. You can see all my stuff up there. I've got another one there, so I think I'll need to clear all these off and close those flaps. The trouble is, if I was to do that, I'd lose my shelf. So I think what I need to do is actually block these in. I don't really want to use plywood, because after all, plywood's really expensive. I think I'm going to have a rake around, a look around and see if I can find some cardboard just to staple up there, and then come summer I can just rip it all down again and have my nice vents back. So before I put the carpet back in the van, I'm going to find some cardboard and block these vents up. Well, after searching high and low, I did manage to find a couple of boxes, but then I remembered my Hemingway Cobra box that I'd put in the barn next door. And the reason I put the box in the barn next door is because Hemingway actually suggest that you keep this box for at least 15 days. I think they do this in case there's a problem and you can send the bike back. I'm pleased to say I've now had the Hemingway Cobra for 2 months and I've had no problems with it at all. And I actually made a video about this bike, and if you're interested in the Hemingway Cobra, I'll put a link to that video up here, purely for your viewing pleasure. Talking about pleasure, I can't wait to get this in the back of my van. Look at that, it actually matches my van. And I will be designing the interior of my van, or the back of my van, so that I can fit this bike in the back and carry it around with me everywhere I go. After all, the Vario is a big van, it is huge. And I know I'm going to have trouble getting this into small towns or small villages. I'm going to have trouble parking it, put it that way. So if I do want to go somewhere and there's nowhere to park this, I can park away, maybe in a side street somewhere, get the Hemingway Cobra out and then ride into town. Now the one thing I really like about the Hemingway Cobra is that you do actually have to pedal it, because it's got a torque sensor built into the frame, unlike some other electric bikes where just simply the motion of pedaling will make the electric motor kick in and take you on your merry way. With the Cobra you do need to pedal and put in a little bit of effort, which is brilliant for me. It stops me being lazy and I do actually get some exercise. Right, so let's cut this box up and block up those holes. And as I say that, somebody opens the front door because they want to get their van out. Bad end. I really have got to tidy this place up. Maybe I should dedicate a day just tidying everything up. Brilliant, look at that. That should stop the draft, shouldn't it? Right, what I've got to do now is that one. Right, put this up now. I really can feel the difference. It's incredible how much difference this has made. The box is so thick, staples aren't long enough. I have to crush the box to get the staples to go through. Because I've got a bit of a gammy hand, it's not easy. Anyone think that was made to measure? I wonder where that was. Straight away, there's no more, I can't feel that cold air now. What a plonker I am. Fancy not covering them up gaping great big holes in the side of the building. Now that is what you call upcycling. And I found my raw as well. I was looking for that the other day. Well, I've cleaned the rubber mat in both sides, I've put it back in the van. I've got to say, I'm not that impressed with it. It hasn't cleaned up very well, but it'll do for now, because at the end of the day, I'll probably end up ripping all this out and putting some nice carpet in there and a nice single seat, which brings me on to the double seat. So this is the original double seat, and again, I don't think I'll be keeping this, but before I do put it back in the van, I'm going to clean the base of this. It is a little bit rusty down there, it's a little bit grotty looking, front and back, these are all grotty as well. So I'm going to clean those off with a wire brush and then just paint it with some chassis black just to make it look a little bit better. But like I say, I'm not that precious about them because quite frankly they're nasty. So I'm going to take these out eventually and replace them with a single swivel seat, hopefully, if I can source one. Wish me luck on that. Right, where's my paint?
No worries.
I'm not going to do them up really tight all at once. Just go around, do them hand tight, like that, and then go around again and do them up really tight. I've got to say they're going in a lot easier than they came out. I'm really glad I tapped the threads out and put grease in them. It's such a big difference. Well, there you go. Despite looking absolutely no different to what it did a couple of days ago, I know that there's now no rust underneath this carpet. And also, when I replace this double seat with a single seat, it's going to be a lot easier to take out because I've already cleaned those bolt holes. So I'm going to call that a success.